Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at some new card coming out in Dawn of Majesty that has to do with maybe some type of burn or some type of workout archetype that might be new to the game. On top of that, we're going to be checking out some other news coming out from these new gold Yu-Gi-Oh cards. For those of you guys that were disappointed that we didn't get a Ghost Bird Dark Magician, well, you can get a real gold-plated Dark Magician girl. And on top of that, we're going to be taking a look at some of the newer rulings for some of these newer Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are going to be coming out into the game. But let's go ahead and kick it off with the new card in Dawn of Majesty, which is going to be called Arrow Pixie. It's going to be a Wind Fairy Tuner effect. Level 1, 200 attack and 200 defense points. And it says once per turn, as a quick effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls that is in this card's column. Move this card you control to another of your main monster zones. And if you do, move the target to your opponent's main monster zone that is in this card's current column. Then place one burning counter on that opponent's monster. The second part of the effect says, monsters lose 200 attack and defense times the number of burning counters on them. This is going to require you to get a lot of counters before it's actually going to be viable. It's only 200 per, so you're going to need probably like 5 to 10 of these counters to really make an impact because the stats are just so low. So this could be something that, because this is like the mechanic of this, I think it's a new archetype. I'm not sure what they're calling it, arrows. But I like this idea of being able to move certain things to different zones. If you guys remember that Yu-Gi-Oh game back where zones kind of mattered, where it was for the PS2, it's called Duelist of the Roses. Yo, drop a like on this video if you know what I'm talking about. That game was amazing. Yo, Konami, please make a sequel to Duelist of the Roses. It really needed one. It was such a cool card game, but I like the idea of this. It's a cool mechanic, and it's, I guess, kind of a newer archetype, and the artwork looks kind of cool. So the next thing I want to hop into is actually the rulings on some of the newer cards. I'm actually going to start off with Null Dreg over here. So anyways, these technically, some of you guys might be like, okay, this is a no-brainer, but these are new official rulings that have came out, and of course, they always provide like the source for like all these like newer cards. Most of them is going to be OCG, but these are newer, updated ones, so it's always good to be up to date on like certain weird mechanics sometimes do happen in Yu-Gi-Oh where you just don't know, right? So Null Dreg of the Abyss that was special summoned from the graveyard by its own effect, and the effect that prevents me from special summoning monsters other than reptile monsters while it is face up in the monster zone is applying. If you control Null Dreg of the Abyss changes, which player will not be able to special summon monsters other than the reptile monsters? So Null Dreg over here, to really go over the effect, is the effect where you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard and then send one dark reptile. And then if you control no monsters or you control an abyss monster, you can special summon this card from your graveyard but banish it when it leaves the field. Also, you cannot special summon monsters while it is face up in the monster zone except reptile monsters. Now, the question is, if you swap control over to it, what happens? So this is how it's ruled. Even in the case the player who activated the effect is the one who cannot special summon monsters other than reptile monsters. So basically, even if you swap to them, you can't lock your opponent out. That's unfortunate. It makes it kind of, less good. Now, the next question actually has to do with El-Shell window, or technically anything that would only let you special summon like one more time, right? So the card actually has to do with Tri-Brigade Revolt. So this makes it so you special summon a number of your beasts, beast warriors, and or winged beast monsters that are banished or in the graveyard, but you negate their effects. But then it says immediately after this effect resolves, you get to link summon one Tri-Brigade Link monster using only those monsters. So some of those effects, that would apply, like you can only special summon one more time for the rest of the turn, or you can only special summon once, right? Like, window locks you out of just going for one summon. So the question then would be, can you activate Tri-Brigade Revolt? And this is how it works. If the effect of Shaddoll Wind is applying, Tri-Brigade Revolt can't even be activated because it does technically special summon 2 times at different intervals. Like you can still special summon a card, but the problem is this card immediately after this effect resolves, you do something else. So basically, regardless of whether you special or not that turn, the link summon is not only is the link summon not performed, but also the special summon monsters in the graveyard or that are banished. So yeah, you can't even activate cards that would prevent you from, like, because it forces you to immediately after this effect resolves. It's not you can, it is a must effect. So that would be kind of one of those newer cards. Tri-Brigades, there are newer cards for them, and that might come up since Shadolls are still kind of a relevant archetype, I would say. Next up though, the effect of Necro Valley is applying. Can Nadir Servant be activated? So Nadir Servant can still be activated when resolving this effect. You get to send a monster from your extract to the graveyard, then you get to add a Dogmatica monster or a Fallen of Albaz with attack less than or equal to that monster's attack from your deck to your hand. In the situation where the effect of Necrophilia is applying and there is a Dogmatica monster or a Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard, but none in your deck, you can still activate into your servant. In that case, you do not send a monster from your extract to the graveyard or add a monster from your to your hand, but the part of the effect that prevents you from spell summoning from the extract for the rest of the turn is still actually applied. Okay, so that's a little bit more interesting. Next thing, it has to do with Iron Wall or Artifact Lancia. So cards cannot be banished. Can Allure of Darkness be activated if you can't banish? So if Allure of Darkness is activated, but Imperial Iron Wall or the effect of Lancia is chained, how does the effect of Allure of Darkness resolve? So the effects of Imperial Iron Wall or Artifact Lancia are already playing. Allure of Darkness cannot be activated. And then on top of that, also if Imperial Iron Wall or the effect of Lancia is chained to the activation, draw 2 cards when resolving the effect. If there's a dark monster in hand, you reveal one of them to your opponent to complete the resolution of Allure of Darkness. If there are no dark monsters, so you have to lose out on everything. So this is actually pretty interesting. I haven't really seen any like rulings with Iron Wall in a while, but there are a lot of weird things in Yu-Gi-Oh where when it is chained to something, it just doesn't function properly. So this is actually pretty good. So theoretically, if it is chained to it, you just reveal it in your hand, which is you just reveal one of them to your opponent to complete the resolution of it. So you just cannot. That's interesting. That's something that I thought was pretty cool. All right, next up, on to more so Yu-Gi-Oh like collector news. This has to do with, again, I know with Ghosts from the Past, we all thought that like, Dark Magician Girl was going to be in there, and that's when the prices of the pre-order shot up like crazy, but obviously it's not in there, and some people are kind of upset. They still want to get their collector, you know, collections going. So there is these new things that just got announced. These are the gold new Yu-Gi-Oh cards. These are gold plated. It almost reminds me of some of the Pokemon ones. Now we've seen metal cards in the past, but these are technically newer. These just got announced recently. In fact, it was announced like a couple hours ago, at least from me making this video. These just got announced that they're making these 24 karat gold plated cards. There's a lot of them. There's Karibo, there's Black Luster Soldier, there's Exodia, and just looking at the prices, you might actually have to get these shipped overseas, just as a heads up, depending on where you live. But yeah, these are like $24, but the gold ones are going to be $30. Now, there's more than just some of these. Over here, there's multiple other cards, like I mentioned, there's Exodia and stuff. But I'm curious to know, do you guys think that these are a good investment? If you guys have remembered, back in the day, they did technically have those Pokemon ones that were at Burger King. These are the ones I'm talking about. Do you guys remember these? These are like Pokemon. You would get like a Pokeball, and then it would have like a gold card in them. Now, these, I'm just checking up on prices because, again, I'm kind of looking at this as like an investor here if I was going to invest into these. These are kind of expensive now. Like, they're $75-ish. The Charizard one, you know, Pokemon Charizard is like one of like the favorites. Anywhere from like $50 to $100-ish, and it depends on obviously the condition that you kept them in. But you know, obviously these are going to be something that you'd have to hold on to for a while for the investment to actually be kind of worth it. But yeah, like I said, the golds are going to be are going to be set to $30. How much are these going to be worth? I don't know. You guys can let me know if you guys think that these are going to be a good investment or not for Yu-Gi-Oh. I wish that they were actual Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you can play with that just had like the gold foiling on it was real gold, but that could probably chip off or whatever. I don't know, but I just think it's cooler to have the actual Yu-Gi-Oh card that's, even if people aren't going to be playing with the card, just so it's an actual card versus just like a big chunk of metal. But nonetheless, that's other Yu-Gi-Oh news that I thought you guys might be interested in. And like I said, there's multiple other ones, but you guys can let me know your thoughts down below on these or anything that we talked about. I'm really interested in this Aerial archetype. I want to be moving all around all of my opponent's cards. You know how troll this is going to be on Dueling Book, though? It's going to be super, super trollsy. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on it. And if you're new here and do want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh news in the future, new cards, new other things, hit subscribe, turn on the bell if you're new, and you'll definitely see more. But take care, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.